this. Sorry about this. It will take 2 seconds. Connect to Wi-Fi. It's not stopwatch. There we go. Reset. Okay. Apologies for that, but getting up is a bit of a job. Okay. Really quick. Or quick as possible, should I say. Let's add another page here. And we'll have one here too. Okay, so now before there we go. Now you should only type a couple of letters into your computer before you get your own website. I'll talk about that at a later date. But what I did a blog some time ago about business, all sorts of stuff, from setting up a corporation, a company, the best way, you know, the simplest, cheapest, all things considered, best way. Not using an umbrella, of course, using a trusted accountant, and we'll get into that. In fact, I'll just write a couple of notes down. Now, you have to apologise, I have to apologise for these glasses, because they're ridiculous, I know, but I suffer migraine, and with all these screens, it really gets me into a mess. Now, what were we just talking about? We were talking about umbrella. Yes, I know, data. Right, now that's for a later date, but I just remembered, it's very important. Okay, can you trust them? I set up purely, I had no clue as to what would sort of follow. I did do a reasonable job, it didn't take too long, but it was just about Miles Grady, Nicolas Holmes, and what happened to me with my company that I set up, founded, financed, and did a good job with my girlfriend, Diane Wilkinson. We worked really hard on, it was a big risk. It was sort of, when you start anything from absolute scratch with no clue as to how the company should run, you will have a learning curve which tends to be very expensive. You take some time, which you did for 18 months. It seemed so simple on day one, but like anything, it's much more complex than what you first think when you set out. So that is another blog. I'm going to do 100 blogs for 10 minutes. Now, no matter what, this is 3 minutes already, so it just flies by. I can actually post, you know, a lot more than that, but I find anything over 10 minutes, you start to become bored. No matter how interesting it is, you start to switch off, and especially when you look at it, you think, oh God, 10 minutes, I haven't really got the time, but I'll just have a quick look. Now, when people click and click off, that's called bounce rates, which damages your SERPs. Now, SERPs is another thing we're going to talk about, and that is the value of your page to Google. And that's created by users, people. Clicking on, clicking off too quickly, Google think, well, quite rightly so, with the new algorithms that are now in place, and between 500 and 800 every year go up, or get put into the algorithm, you know, the Google algorithm itself. I'm going to talk all about that. I know programs over there, we discuss stuff all the time, and it really is so interesting that you would work for free if you could afford to, which I do. So this is all free. I literally pay for everything myself. It's not a massive amount of money. It's sort of getting there now with 30 million people followed me and used the site. Some absolutely, you know, spent plenty of time on it and had great results. Others spent little time and still had great results. Some people just read and got advice how to spot a con man. You know, there's so much more that goes into it than, I'm sorry, I'm going to keep looking at my watch to get this under 10 minutes. So what can you trust them is, it's a register. It's a register for bad I have to be careful litigiously, but in my opinion, we'll say, for not great people and not great companies that you certainly can't trust, or I can't trust, in my opinion, I keep saying that, with your money and with your business. Now, can you trust them is purely and simply a name, shame, and claim register that's free to use. It's very effective. As you can read, when you whiz through it, you'll see. I mean, you can go into it and see thousands and thousands, but I've just popped a few up here, ranging from £26 to, we've got a chap here, $50,000 in Switzerland. He put in. I have to remind myself that I did know the case very well. He fought for 2 years in the courts with lawyers, and it got so difficult for him. He became very stressed. He got into a bit of a mess, not just financially, but mentally. He just was so angry that this company took money off him, and he couldn't get it back because he didn't have as much money as the chap he was suing, and he just dragged on, and they knew what they were doing, and that's what happens nearly every time. So even if it's absolutely 100% provable, you could still take 2-3 years more to get your money back, and then that's if they pay, and that's if they don't outsmart you again, or out-trick you again, should I say. It's not about being smart, sometimes it's just pure theft. Especially this chap, he knew the guy and he betrayed him. We can talk about my situation if we've got enough time, but we've got, I don't know, 4 or 5 minutes left. So can you trust them? It is, if you just go on there and read it, it doesn't take long. It's 5 minutes to read it, maybe 6, 7, if you read it properly, and you click on all the links, and it will show you the absolute 100% proof that who's telling fibs. We'll call them fibs because lies is a bit, I don't know, it's a bit strong. So if you get fibbed to a lot, you will be able to get your justice, we'll call it, back. And you have, at very least, a way of name and shaming, even if you don't get every penny back. And I'll show you how to get every penny back, because there is a very simple way of doing it, which I don't know what I can say legally. I have spoke to my lawyers, and I definitely know what I can say, but a lot of it's grey area. We're not held accountable for what you say, but to a point, we sort of are allowing you to post it, but there's so much traffic that, anybody, any sort of judge, when it comes down to it, would say, well, how do you expect this man, if he's funding it himself, to check every single post when there's so many? And that is obviously very favourable to us, and I don't even know of a case we've lost. We're fair, we take something down if it looks inappropriate, if somebody lies or has a real go, but if it's truthful, and even if they do have a real go, they've got every reason to, because if they lost, from £26, to 50,000 and a lot more actually, they have every reason to be strong, verbally, and sometimes get a bit carried away, not just on here but on the phone. And you've got to be careful. You can't ruin and lose everything because you've got upset. Try and stay calm and cool, and you will get what belongs to you back. And I'll show you how now. Read the first 3-4 paragraphs, which show you here specifically how to do it. Now, it's a very simple case of, obviously, you don't have to worry about money, you don't have to worry about data, we don't collect micro data or metadata and then use it sort of against you. Sometimes it's for good, that you advertise things to you. If you look at a ski holiday, next thing you know, you're bombarded with ski boots and skis and whatever to sell you, and sometimes you buy them and you think, oh, wow, that's great, or other times you think, stop sending me adverts. So I will tell you a way of stopping that. I will tell you a way of stopping metadata. I will tell you a way of stopping mobile phone tracking. And in all, there's about 100 things that I rounded it up to that I can get them into, which cover pretty much everything you need to know about getting your site right up there in Google, without any tricks that used to be able to be used that certainly can't now. Never buy a backlink. never post anything that's copy pasted, never copy an image, things like that, you know. And you probably think, why? It's because Google, well, we'll talk about that again, but Google, spider, robot, whatever you want to call it, will catch you out, will find out what you've done and will penalise you for it. And before you know it, you've got a domain name that's totally useless. Google themselves very fairly give you or will offer you a can you trust them? I've got it on the brain, a disavow tool, which allows you to clear all backlinks off your domain name. But to be honest, it doesn't work really well because not because the Google can't do it, they do it very well. It's because the internet itself doesn't forget. It always remembers. If it's not on one search engine, it's on another. If it's not on one platform, it's on another, and it's always there somewhere. And Google will read it, and then you'll never really get rid of it. So get a new domain name, £3. It's worth it. Now, getting back to this, I've just rambled us with it off something that I'm going to do in another blog anyway. So 30 million people have been on and used it, etc. Lots and lots of people have got justice. You can see there's massive amounts of complaints on loan companies, especially. Even Ugg Boots, I think they're second in the complaints league, with 350,000 people have been involved in one way or another, either viewing it or commenting, or we've got multiple complaint sites that link into one, which also help your ranking. That's why we're number one on so many searches, especially when you type in Miles Grady, the person I'm complaining about, with good reason. So if you just hit Miles Grady here, we come up number one. That's Paymatters blows the whistle, and even in on his images, if you click on nearly any of the images, sorry I'm stuttering, it's a bit of coffee going on, you'll see here, Miles Grady, can you trust them, link back to, you can read that. It takes obviously a bit of time, which we haven't got. Now, they claim they founded my company, which really made me so angry. This is why I set Can You Trust Them up. They also took, after 7 years of me setting it up, I was the founder of the company, sole founder, the sole shareholder, and I give these guys, at the end of the day, 33% each, because they threatened to walk away after 12 months when I was in America doing other business, and I just couldn't afford it. I couldn't afford to come back. I was working in the movie industry, I was working with the sheriff, and I was just far too involved, and I loved what I was doing, and I didn't want to come home. So I gave them equal shares, which you'd think they wouldn't ever complain. They wouldn't ever want any more. Yet they walked away with £20 million after 7-8 years, and I ended up with 1.35. So do your own maths. I mean, they approached me to sell my shares. They walked away with 20 million, or around that figure. I walked away with 1.35, and we fell out over the VAT initially because we got a VAT refund. We were deregulated for that, which means we don't have to pay it anymore. Yet the company carried on charging the same amount of money, which I believed and I know is totally wrong. Yes, it's legal. Miles Grady will tell you it's enrichment, just enrichment, which is actually true, but I just think it's terribly immoral. These people are in debt, and they could have had a large refund, and they could have had significantly less, 20% less charges. Yep, they wouldn't do it. Instead, they bought new cars and a house, etc. And I just was disgusted, walked away, and we ended up with this problem. So I could have said nothing. I could have agreed with them and gone ahead with it, and maybe not had this problem. I don't know. But the bottom line was I didn't agree with it, and I was in a financial position where I could stand strong, and I did. So I came away with this. I ended up doing Can You Trust Them? And the money they put into the next company, which was Paymatters, was dissolved within 6 weeks of me setting this site up, because I knew what I was doing. They didn't, so they lost the company. They set up under the name Umbrella. They thought they're buying Umbrella. That was clever, because they were doing the umbrella service business service, however you want to put it. Google don't like that because it's trading. They see it as trading high value domain names, which again is hated by Google because they want to get rid of any big companies with big money taking over the little guys. I'm going to have to finish off here. So next blog will be something really, really interesting. So keep an eye on the channel. They just set up as Umbrella. I've just switched over to Umbrella, obviously because I've been treated terribly, and I intend on carrying on forever. So it tells you how to use it. Type in your full story, as much detail as possible, your claim value, the individual or company name, and that is it, obviously if it's a company or person. And then you post it. We ask for your email address, just simply because, and there's as much contact as you can give us, but it's only to get your resolve, to get your justice, to get your payment, because you need us to do that. It's automatic, but we need to get involved to end the settlement in many cases. And it's not great. It's not a great idea to put your details online anyway. I mean, that would be not great. You know, people get hacked and all sorts, and it goes on a lot more than you think. It's very easy. Not a lot of people take the precaution. Hack seems to be a 1980s trendy word. It's not. It goes on today. It's called white, grey and black hat. Black hat guys can do pretty much anything, as you've probably seen on the news. But Google Miles Grady, Google Nicolas Holmes, Google Nicolas Holmes on his LinkedIn site. You'll see. Now, one thing I want to show you, on their website, have a look. You see these amazing office block, this glass, huge thing. Now, on Trustpilot, they get 2.5 out of 10, which is pretty much client experience is nearly zero. All their 5-star reviews come in 1 or 2 days from the same IP address, which means basically it's all been done by, you know, work it out for yourself on that one. So I'm going to get a migraine now, but here we are. Now this is ridiculous. This is what their real offices. See, I've been there. It's the address, it's the postcode they have on there. Sorry, that is their offices. Now I'll just zoom in because it's a very small picture. Now that is their offices. On their website you'll see it. I won't even show you. You can see it for yourself. That is PO Box and their trading office, and you can actually, if you zoom in, you can see one of their members of staff. But this is how bad the internet is. It's so easy to manipulate. It's so easy to trick people into here's one. There you go. That's it. That's what they advertise as their offices. It's absolutely crazy. Now that is got to be fraud. They give themselves a 5-star review. It's 1 star on Trustpilot, and they've actually taken themselves off Yelp, whatever it is, Yelp, sorry, because of the reviews. They can remove themselves from. We've gone way over. So there's lots of things I wanted to show you, but I will on the next. Here you go. What's this? This may. I've got that many. This is one file of a bazillion. Now Umbrella. Here you are. Not a single review star because it's not even on there. Sorry. Yeah, there they are. There's the search. They've gone. They used to be on there, and the reviews obviously were, let's say, enough to take them down. Now, my next blog is going to be really great because I've just remembered some really interesting stuff that you'll be, wow, you know, this is crazy. But my main reason for this first blog is, can you trust them? And to get to know me a little bit, you know. I know I've got these silly sunglasses on, but at least I can speak to you and look at these screens. Now this is their website. 25 years experience. Now I know these guys very, very well, obviously. They used to be friends. I know them. All they've done prior to Umbrella, trading as now, is debt collection, debt management, sell mobile phones and work for the cooperative insurance. That's what Miles Grady worked as. They had normal jobs. They 30,000-ish a year, 28 and 36, I think I remember. Came to me for a job. I gave them a job, and that's what happened. So 25 years experience. The company, Umbrella, I think is 2 years old, maybe 3. Before that, Paymatters, just a few years old. How do you put that on there and get away with it? I've got no clue. I've not said anything that's liable. Here you are, Nicolas Holmes, founder of Harrington Brooks. 18 months later, he comes along and claims he was the founder of the company. This all goes on. This is all evidence. This is all what you see. Look at, it's just absolutely insane. Now, Paymatters used to be #1 as a Google search, as Paymatters. You type in Paymatters, just like Can You Trust Them, #1. Type in umbrella, it's not found. It may be on page 3 to 8 or whatever, but people don't look that far. Page 2 is shared by 2%. #1 is 37% of page 1. So I've got lots to tell you, but I'm going to sign off now. So it's still a bit interesting on this, and I'm going to have to grab the camera now because my legs are hurting. I'm going to carry on with this very, very soon. Okay, au revoir.